Impromptu stream. Took the day off because I've been pushing pretty hard for work this week. But I just couldn't keep not working on my stuff. So we're going to continue working on my JavaScript framework because I'm really excited about using it to build all kinds of things for what I want to build. Oh, look, you see my room. All right, let's see. It's so pretty. This green screen is weird. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to continue on what I worked on, I think this weekend, where I did like a ton of research into JavaScript bindings. And I ended up having a thing called the Goja repository, which I see is still present as a workspace. So we're actually going to go here, see the status of the workspace. I think this can be deleted now. I think this has all been merged. And it has all been merged. It has all been rebased. And then these two, interestingly, I think they'll need to be merged at all. So what we can do is we can just delete the initial Goja repository. And the Goja repository, are you sure you want to delete the workspace? Yes, I do. Unable to remove it because Goja has some parts that are not committed. Yeah, it's just a binary. So let's try that again. It's failed to remove work trees because Jesus has some uncommitted files. Yes, a binary again. This is something I should add as a quality of life thing for my workspace manager. In any case, we do have two repositories. We do have, oh, I wasn't even showing my screen, so let me switch to that before I forget again. We have two repositories now. We have this Goja, which is going to collect all my JavaScript wrapping of third-party libraries, and then we have this Jesus repository, which is basically all my JavaScript, the engine itself. And the engine itself has a REPL, and it currently has an MCP mode that seems to not fully work anymore compared to what it used to do. So what I want to do is the Jesus part has a wrapper around SQLite. It has a wrapper around Express. I want to move those over to Goja, then add functionality to Goja to say, well, if you're loaded within an MCP context and you have these libraries enabled and registered, please add this to your system prompt to tell basically the MCP host that there's a set of libraries available and their documentation. And so that's kind of the plan for, we'll see how far I get. I have someone coming later, so I'll probably close this fairly quickly. First thing we're going to do is create a workspace. We're going to say move Jesus base libraries to Goja, and as repos, we're going to use Goja. We're going to use Jesus. What else are we going to use? I think that's maybe enough for now. Then we do have this agent source. I have a branch to address the fact that I don't have to type this every time, but for now, we're going to create this. So we're going to go into this mouthful of a workspace name, and we're going to open it in Cursor just to see a little bit what the current status is of basically the project. And we're going to go and open all of this. So the Goja part has, oh, I see that it's not even rebased right now. So let's first tackle that. Is obviously we do want to have the main branch, which we have to pull rebase, right? And then if we go into our workspace, now we can rebase this on main. I'm going to update cursor because why not? We're going to do the same with amp, just so I don't forget. Cursor is reopening like 3 projects, of course. So we're going to close this one. This is Goja Jesus. I think this is the one we just opened. And now we can look at Goja. It has a REPL tool that's kind of like duplicated. We do have an engine with the runtime, and this is also not really all that useful, which potentially something we might want to merge with Jesus. One thing we might want to do is, I don't know if this project organization is all that good. I don't know what the engine's doing and what it's for, to be honest. It's just using the main. So I'm going to leave it as is. And if we look at Jesus, where it has like a good... Yeah, this is the other thing I need to tackle in my workspace manager, is to just have a script that, you know, sets up the workspaces and make it not so Go dependent. Hey, RPX and James, how are you doing? I have heard about the Warp terminal like 2 years ago or so, like when they just started, and looked at it a little bit and wasn't all too happy. Does it run on Linux? I experimented a little bit back then with Kitty to have Kitty pipe like the back scroll buffer into an LLM and do things, but currently I don't really use that. Moving on. We have this whole Jesus, which has in its commands, has a REPL, has... Why is this not provided? Do I need to bump Geppetto? That could be. Does that help? All right, that seems to help. All right, good. And there's a bunch of bindings that we have within Jesus. So we have an MCP server kind of stuff, which basically just uses the embeddable MCP framework we have. We're going to revisit this because I am not sure that the prompts here are all that good. And I wonder maybe if like people are listening and dropping in, like I use Cloud Desktop at the moment as an MCP host, and it's like really getting on my nerves. And I wonder maybe I should just use Cursor, to be honest. I'm gonna comment this out because I broke the step factory, this is the Geppetto bindings. In fact, this is a standard set of bindings, and all of this stuff I kind of want to move to Goja. So one thing we might want to do here is leverage Sonnet as a research agent, just because, I don't know. And using Sonnet, we're going to examine the source code, how the engine, how the bindings are set up, and then move that over to Goja and use that to move the modules over, right? So I'm going to literally prompt what I want to do is I want to move the libraries, DB, HTTP, Express server, etc., from Jesus engine over to, you know, Goja. I'm just going to point it at the README so that they are reusable across Goja VMs, and then import them from Jesus itself. Collect all the information you need, be thorough, write a report in, I guess in Jesus ttemp 24 moving JS libraries from Jesus to reusable Goja modules.md. And we're going to let it run. Telling it to write a document is pretty useful because it will keep it from writing code. And, you know, that's like always an issue with Sonnet. And that's the reason why I want to move away from Cloud Desktop, because it just like fucking gets on my nerves. So maybe while this is going, I'm going to go on the hunt for a new MCP host, because I don't want to use Cursor. So I know I looked at Goose Agent, and then I kind of want to try OpenCode maybe. Because it just looks really nice. So let's try that. Fuck it, I'll do that another day. This is not what I want to go down today. So this is still researching. We could actually launch a second request here. The thing that I'm wondering about the Jesus MCP, because it still has the MCP, right? And so I have this framework to register all of that. I think the problem with the tool description here of the MCP, and yeah, it is this, to do re-implement once doc package is available. I think that's the issue here, is that we don't have the docs in the sense of the glazed help system that I want to use. So yeah, actually this has been implemented, so it's really just a matter of registering them, right? Oh. So it could be that that was the only thing missing. On the stream on Sunday, I was like, oh, I broke something when I refactored it. I think that might be the only thing missing. And so maybe the first thing to try is to just run this, right? So we are currently in Jesus. We're going to build Jesus and then configure it as an MCP for Claude, which we're going to do right now. Claude config, MCP JS server, and then this time we're going to call Jesus. So let's try that. So open Claude. Actually, it was already open. I'm going to zoom it out. And then if we look at the tools, we do have execute.js, right? And it's like open your database with execute.js and list the tables available. Let's see if it understands that. And then we're going to look at the MCP.js server log. Cool. Seems like it works, and then register a hello world page minimal. So I guess that was the only thing that was missing, was registering the JavaScript documentation. All right, cool. So actually, Jesus works. The only thing we had to change was to commit the database, the documentation. So I'm going to add this right now. So this is bump dependencies, enable docs, add migration plan. I'm pretty dirty with my commits these days, because I mean, LLMs just like, I don't know how. You know, I'm like fuck code review. Delegate it all to testing in real time. So we do have a DB query, a DB exec. We do have HTTP bindings. And then we do have Express.js handlers. We have console modules. So the console stuff could be reused from the Node.js library. JSON module, global state module. So one thing I could do is like add to this move Jesus. The one thing we could add here is the Goja Node.js work tree, right? And so this will appear in our repo in here, because this already has a bunch of modules that I do want to use. And I wonder if it has a JSON module. It definitely has a console module, a buffer module, and has a process module, which I think is going to be pretty nice. And then URL. I don't know if this has like a stringify module. Stringify. Buffer with JSON stringify. I mean, maybe that's part of Goja base. Who knows? All right, so what's the plan to migrate this over to Goja? Look at Goja Node.js and figure out which modules should maybe be taken from there. The reason I don't do this in AMP code is that I kind of want to have the visibility, and I find AMP code a little bit too obscure, like too automatic for my taste, at least here, to be in the loop. But by the way, I'm kind of curious if Gemini still has censored traces, or if they actually reverted it and allow us to get back the raw traces. I'll have a look at that. The HTTP client for sure is a module we might want to get here. The database module, that for sure. And the Express, right? Like the database and the Express modules are the two that I definitely want to move over. And then we have this whole like Geppetto LLM stuff, which I fixed broke, where I'm in the process of refactoring, because I realized that my base abstraction in my LLM framework was just like done at this point. It was built for a time when LLMs were doing like 2,000 tokens, and so it was all based around like a custom YAML DSL to be able to generate like agents, but now you can just like generate agents in JavaScript or so. So leverage existing. This is kind of a weird plan here, but and I think one function that I want to add to Jesus itself, to the MCP, is like get library documentation so that we can only load, say, the database documentation when needed to build a database and basically prompt that in there. So I'm curious to see how that will work, right? So I'm going to move over the database module. I'm going to move over the Express module. I am going to add this get module documentation kind of API to Goja, to Goja, and then we'll see. This is like doing a lot of Sonity stuff, it feels like. So what changed here? It's saying database module, HTTP client express, console module, JSON module, global state module. Module system, centralized module, interface native module with name loader. So the init is going to be interesting because I actually want to make it possible to select the ones we want to register. All right, available Node.js modules, revised plan, leverage existing Goja Node.js modules. So we're going to do as a plan, I wonder what this is referring to. All of this is kind of like slop I want to remove. Okay. So we're going to do the first thing. And I don't know if I want to use Sonnet here. I'm going to use Gemini just for the sake of it. Is like, oh my God, it's doing this. Oh, I just need to restart the Go language server, right? Is it still complaining about the workspace? Like, I hate this stuff because I did restart the whole thing. Reload window. Let's see if everything gets cleared. Oh my God. This is so annoying because the Go work at some point said 123 and then I updated it, right? And VS Code just like straight up doesn't believe me or doesn't want to reload it because now it says, oh, I thought it updated that. Yeah, now it updated. I thought I did that. Weird. So we're going to restart both servers and then we should be good. And we're going to switch to Gemini and I'm going to tell it to like move the database module over as a first step. Second step is going to be make it explicit which libraries are to be registered so that each VM instantiation can like pick and choose which libraries should be enabled instead of having them like all automatically added to the registry. Although maybe because they get required in the in the code, maybe that's not the worst idea either. We're going to leave it at like the automatic registry, and then I'm going to have the bootstrap JS that's used when bootstrapping the MCP or bootstrapping Jesus overall, just do the requires. So does this show me more info in the thinking traces? No, man, they're like the garbage traces. Very disappointing. The Gemini traces were so nice. I don't even know if we need these things here. I guess maybe we do. It's stuck. It wants to touch grass. I don't think this really needs unit tests for the REPL. It added in modules the database module, which now loads configure query exec close, configure the module, takes a driver name and a data source name. I kind of want to make that public so that if we look at the module registers, modules register, do we have a get module? All right, I'm going to say add get module to common.go, make the methods in the database module public so that we can, for example, configure the DB before launching our JS VM. I don't know if I need to put in that much details, but specifying intent is always useful when prompting an LLM, right? So that even if it has beyond just the technical guidance, it has an understanding of what you're trying to do, which gives it like a leeway of doing it its own choices, which the bigger models now are really good at doing choices. They're often better than my own. So that makes it all a little bit funny. What am I trying to do with all of this? I am trying to, well, I wanted to fix Jesus, which is done. I wanted to make it a little bit easier to add, to get documentation. So what I'm going to do is make go jazz registry a proper struct with helper methods amongst others, allow modules to register their documentation as strings. And it has this require registry, but I think we want to wrap that. Basically, we want to wrap the module, the Goja Node.js registry. I'm going to add one more module to this, which is going to be Glazed, because Glazed has a help system and I might want to reuse that. They seem a little bit better than before. But because we don't see which code it's referring to before it writes it at the end, right? Like the code has been censored. Did it just recreate that? Didn't we have that before? It just like rewrote it all. What happened here? Okay. Okay, cool. So now in Jesus, we kind of want to replace the database functionality by loading it from Goja, right? Use Goja to for the database functionality in Jesus. So where do we do the database stuff here? In bindings, right? And in the MCP bootstrap, require the DB to the database library in JS and configure it to be the given JS server DB as usual. I hope it figures that one out. You might need to do some research up front. We might have, because of the async kind of stuff, moved the engine entirely to Goja as well. Because I wonder if it has run on loop is not in the code, right? And then the loop it gets is yeah. So it's kind of like this cat and mouse game between. Oh my God, what is going? Oh, it's when I do add, it actually recreates the work file. So I wasn't dreaming before. It's okay, interesting. So I wonder what happens here. So this is going to be interesting. I should be able to now, if I go into the Jesus directory and I go run command Jesus REPL, I should be able to do const db is equal to require db. Require is not defined. So I should be, oh my God, this doesn't allow me to copy paste. So when launching the Jesus REPL, or really any Jesus engine, okay, so we are at the end of our context, and it's going to say, write up a detailed guide of all these changes in Jesus TTAM 250624. Write report about moving database modules to Goja and module registry changes.md. And we're going to use that document to continue our session because I don't like the summaries that Cursor does. They don't have an understanding of what I want to do next. In fact, I actually forgot to put in an understanding of what I want to do next in here. So we might want to revise that. But I'll wait for it to write it, and then we'll be like, add a section on how to include the Goja module registry in something like the Jesus REPL. And so it's going to use all the context of the discussion we have right now to basically write a tutorial about what I want to do next, which is much more useful than just like a non-directed write-up, because hopefully this will, just like include the little nitty-gritty details that might be really useful for moving on, especially with the reasoning model. It's the kind of stuff that starts to surface because it has really lot of context to crunch over, and then it's going to be, if we look at the tracing thing, my current focus is building a compelling Go code snippet, right? Like, so it's going to do a lot of work around all of this that will really help move forward without having to recreate all the context necessarily. And also it's like a good guide for me to understand what has happened. And then, wait, what? Where is this? Oh yeah, I see. So right, so it's totally possible that this might be just enough for doing this. All right, my friend's coming over in like 20, 30 minutes, so that's when I'm gonna call it. All right, so we're gonna start a new session. I don't know why I'm not using M code. I think it's just because this is like detailed work. I don't think an agent would, like, I don't know what to do even. I just like, I am kind of doing this like, well, I want to be in the loop to understand what's going on, because this is like refactoring, it's preparing APIs. I'm not shooting for functionality. I'm shooting for something that I feel I understand, because I will then prompt functionality on top of it, if that makes sense. All right, so we do now have our report about moving databases. So maybe the stuff I'm going to do, since the REPL still compiles, is we're just going to commit that kind of stuff, because, oh, this is the wrong one. So we want to go into move Jesus base libraries, and then we want to go into Goja. And here we're going to add the modules. We're going to add the test data. And for now, we're going to leave it as is. And we're going to say sparkles add database library to Goja. And we're not going to run neither the test nor the linting, because we don't want to disturb. Actually, we can run the linting. We don't have an agent going. So let's do that. Amend. It still has linting errors, but whatever. So we have to go Goja, and then we're going to change the Jesus stuff. Which the Jesus stuff, what is in the diff right now? We remove setting up the bindings from the main engine, which I think is good. I mean, it's what we wanted, right? And then we moved adding the DB module to new engine though. Which we might want to clean up, right? Oh, and it already runs the string const db is require database. So, okay. So, I mean, I'm sure this actually broke the functionality, but we're still going to make this an unchecked commit and saying tractor move db functionality to Goja. And what we're going to say now is include the require Goja registry in Jesus engine. All right, so because we have all of that in this, oh shit. And then here I want to put in the report we wrote, right? So that it doesn't have to figure it all out from the start. This is progressing well. Yeah, these thought traces are like really not interesting, and they're also hard to parse. Really annoying. Really, really sad about that. But the integration of Gemini seems much smoother than it used to be, which is great. So what did it change? It added, holy shit. Oh, it just changed it. I wish there was like an option to hide white space changes. So it just added the module registry. All right, so that's cool. Yep. So the thing is that we should be able to use go run Jesus REPL and then say, is DB available? Const DB is require database. Require, okay. Make sure that REPL.go also loads DB also has access to require because it doesn't seem to. And then the other thing we have is we have a run scripts method, right? So if we look at a test JavaScript, which just does that, then we could potentially have run scripts, temp test.js. Too many arguments because it's dash dash files. All right. Identifier DB has already been declared. All right, so that's cool. So because it doesn't seem to run scripts does seem to already have constdb set, but only the MCP should have constdb as require database plus db configured per default. So after that, we'll want like a doc library, which is going to be part of the main API description. We'll probably want to move this engine over to Goja, although it does keep track of the handlers and the eval job. So a lot of this is relevant to Jesus, the MCP itself. What we might want to do is tell Goja about event loops when registering modules, right? And so that might be the next step to do is instead of it only working on a virtual machine level, have it work on an event loop level, because that will allow modules to register promise-based functionality. And I wonder if in my Vibes coding from the other day, I already moved over the oh my god, my brain. I already moved over the Goja event-driven API. So we have the Goja TypeScript integration. We have the Goja watermill. So that's the one that we might want to add as well into Goja, which is going to be fun. Gosh, it sure likes yapping. I don't know if it needed to think for 2 minutes, but we'll see. That's not what it should have done. But we'll go with it for now. Excuse me. All right, so let's see. Yeah, maybe build it. Build the REPL to make sure it all works. So at some point, it's maybe going to be good to move over to AMP code. And the reason I want to have the watermill stuff in there right from the get-go is I think I'm going to center pretty much all the future libraries I built around an event-driven watermill setup, so that I can have, right, like that. After that, it's pretty easy to wrap that in normal promises if you so want to, but to give whatever I write in JavaScript the option to just like register to low-level events and to participate in this entire event-driven framework. And I can start multiple engines that will then share data through this event-driven setup without having to do too much crazy stuff. I wonder why this all broke. Like you know, what happened here? Like, how was this all working before? What the fuck is going on? Jesus Christ, bro, this looks bad. This looks bad. This is when Gemini, when you don't switch to the max method. So we're gonna rewind to where stuff started to go awry, which is actually fairly easy, fairly early, and then we're just gonna switch to O3. So Gemini, when it starts to run into context window issues, I think it's been a while since I used Gemini, but remembering what I did with it, you know, a month or two ago, it just starts deleting code like crazy. And that's because it hit like 60% of its advertised context window. So you can switch to the max mode. Does it even have a max mode? I don't remember, but that's what used to happen. I'm trying to not do two things in parallel, but I'm really tempted. I'm really tempted to do so. But like one of the things that would be that I find that would be pretty interesting now. Let me delete the current databases here. So if I start Claude, right, and then I did a little bit of research on on how to use like a dynamic task planning research agent, educational agent inquiry, right, which is something that basically tells you how to orchestrate a set of sub-agents, whatever a sub-agent is, and then use like a recursive planning algorithm. So I want to prototype a planning education video writing agent framework, use execute.js with a DB to create the required tables, keep it very minimal. This is a prototype. Only ever write a web application when I ask you to. Here's the framework. So this is literally just the prompts, actually, that I want. Create the tables. Don't put anything in it. So we'll see what that is, but this is going to create the tables for my task planning framework. And you can see it's creating like a set of projects, it's creating a set of tasks, and then it's creating like a set of dependencies, created a set of search results, of script sections. So basically everything I need to have a video transcript framework, right? And now I'm going to go and grab, say, a transcript of, say, one of the videos that my MCP videos, and I'm going to say like transcribe the first 10 minutes. And I think I can say 600 seconds. And I'm going to use this transcript to start cosplaying this agent, right? And even though it's going to like fake it because it's going to use a single context window inside this cloud conversation, this will allow me to like kind of prototype and visualize and actually have a database built up of these different research tasks, right? And this actually already like kind of cosplays a real agent or real set of sub agents. And then I can extend it once I have the inference calls in my JavaScript VM. I can just basically really delegate that. And that's all it takes to create like a custom task planning agent. Is like, I did a research in chat OpenAI. It like came up with a pretty good scheme. And then I was like, okay, well, just make it. So that's why I'm like so excited about this JavaScript stuff, right? It's like we do now have real database tables, and it's going to be able to write like a simple set of functions to do the DAG lookups to get the next set of tasks, to insert dependent tasks, etc. So now I'm having it write like something that I know is going to be pretty easy to get in the training corpus. Is it's going to get the task with dependencies, with the status that is not completed, like all of these things. Pretty cool, right? Like those are going to be the real stuff. And I don't need like MCP tools or whatever. I don't need to expose the tools to the well, I do need to expose the database, the doc strings, the documentation for it, but I can basically have a real like task planning, because it's not rocket science, right? Like it is in the training corpus, but it's there, right? The way this is creating the whole thing is like not super great right now. I could break it up in like once per function and all of that, instead of having like a big ass JavaScript block. But so I'll let it do its thing. Here's the actual transcript I'm going to use. And this set of like writing the database function, I need to only do it once, right? And how to restore that stuff from persistence, because they're stored, the JavaScript code is stored in the database as well. That's, I need to tackle that pretty soon, because it blocks me in my experimentation. So no, you don't need to create a full example. Too late. Man, it's like, stop it. All right. What I want to do now is take this transcript, right? Copy text. And now what I want to do is like start running the first task for creating a video out of this transcript. Output the work as markdown, insert, output the summary as markdown, but put the main data straight into the DB. And so you'd say like, well, I'm not going to see very minimal summary. How am I going to see what's actually going on? Well, it's in the database, so now we can build a web app to look at it, right? what has happened here? Oh yeah, it's not able to. Man, it's rewriting everything. That's like so fucking annoying. So I'm going to stop it. I'm going to go back to here. When writing JS, wrap in and not defining new functions, wrap the use of variables, etc. in a function so as not to overwrite stuff in the global scope, so as not to redefine. That should also be, it is kind of part of the prompt. Like those are kind of the prompting details that I really need to look into. The problem is that these database inserts here, when I rewind, they're still in the database, right? So it kind of like starts making it all like a little bit messy in terms of the persistence of it. That's also something I need to think about, where you do maybe want to have a rewind database functionality, something like that. Is this running? All right. So now create a very, very minimal web app, bootstrap CSS to see the status of the project and the tasks. And all the other tables. Right, so we have this. The planning has been done. 2 search tasks ready for execution. 1 of 10 tasks completed. Content structure. This is all pretty good. And so what I'll be able to do after that is going to be do the 2 search tasks, which, you know, are going to pollute the context here. But in a real agent would be using the subcontext, and it's coming pretty soon, right? Like once I clean up all these modules, I already have like JavaScript bindings for this kind of stuff. But I do want to have streaming view in the web UI because I don't know, I'm just like a perfectionist, and that's what keeps me from building actual things. So I can, oh my God, I hate that. I can now look at the web app. We can see projects. MCP is boring, or we're losing the sparkles of blah, blah. It's weird because it said that one of the tasks was completed. So project number 4, analyst transcript, status completed. And here we have the actual view of it all. It's not pretty, all of this. Right, but it has all the further tasks to be done, except those I think don't have the dependencies all set, right? It's like so I'm going to say do the next 2 search tasks, keep the writing, the results all pretty minimal, very terse, markdown right up after DB insertion. Also show what tasks are next. So obviously here I might want to, I'm not fully sure that the JavaScript that I generated is correct. So this might, you know, the way I'm thinking about it is that you would first have like okay, let's create the code, kind of be in an unlock application, kind of more like a coding setup. And then once that is done, you know, clear all the test database and then basically boot this whole thing from scratch. And now we have like a fixed framework for doing XYZ. So the idea is like, I don't want to go into Amcode and treat this as like a real code project. I want to really just vibe and not really look at the source, but also lose my thread of thought. um, so search task, next steps, one reasoning task for ready for execution, right? So if we refresh this, it's weird. The task completed stuff doesn't seem to fully do that. But we now have 2 searches that were completed, and now we have these that are pending, and then this is can execute is ready, right? And so we can now synthesize it. So go ahead, next task. And we basically have like a really nice advanced planning agent without writing even like a single bit of code. I mean, the LLM did, and it like seems that it got a little bit of stuff wrong that we might want to have to correct, but my ideas are working. And the fact is that if I give these sub agents, so to say, basically just like managing my context window, these tools as well, they are able to, you know, add new tasks to all of it, right? So all script sections can now be written in parallel, right? Which would also be pretty cool. Hey, Shad, is that how you pronounce your name, Shad? I'm not sure, but yeah, how is it going? Saad. I'm gonna close the stream pretty soon, but I'm really excited about this stuff, and so we do have 5 writing tasks already. Go ahead, do them all fairly minimally. But if we look into the dependencies here and we refresh the dependencies, I guess this UI is not the best one. Or we look at the tasks, we can see that 5 tasks are now ready for execution. We're going to do that. And I want to have this final, actually, let me stop that. I'm going to say, while writing, see if new tasks need to be created to maybe research more, because I just want to try to test this dynamic planning. Well, I hope you're enjoying the thing I'm continuing to explore is what I've been exploring for the last week, which is like if you give an LLM the only MCP you give it is the capability to execute JavaScript code, like how far can you go? And here I'm building basically a research agent, right? I said like I want to prototype a planning, education, video writing agent, use execute.js to create a database. In this, this is an OpenAI research that basically just puts prompts together for a planning agent, for like a writing agent, all of these kinds of things. The thing is that that's all you need, kind of. It's like, say, I have an idea of how to build an agent, you put it in, and then it builds it. And then you can execute it right away, right? So it actually has a full dashboard, which is kind of garbage, but is enough to showcase what I'm getting at, and is something you can then, you know, snapshot polish and then share, actually, because it's stored in a SQLite database as well. I'll have to think about how to, you know, maybe it's okay to have it fail and then have it fail and just like waste tokens, and then have some ways of, you know, handing over things once the context window gets full. I tend to underestimate the size of context windows that these things have these days. The one thing I could add is basically put a transaction around an execute.js call, I think, so that the database stuff is unrolled. So is this working? Oh, it's still not doing it. So the research gaps identified are things that could be about creating new tasks. Oh, come on, this UI is so bad. I can't see what it writes because it's just the scrolling is blocked. So did it add new tasks? I don't think it did. Oh, it did, because now it has like 11 tasks. So it has 11 tasks, and then the new tasks here are, oh, it has 2 tasks for the conclusion. That's weird. So create new tasks for the gaps, recompute the next tasks, then execute. So I thought that this was kind of in the prompts for the orchestration agent. It could be because I'm faking like sub agents, or like, you know, I'm assigning them roles, and my prompting probably was not all too great to have a single session do all the roles at once. But this is all pretty nice. Excuse me. So we're going to finish this whole basically video creation workflow. Now I have 15 tasks. Right, synthesize the last findings, and then it has these 2 pending ones that were dependent on all of it. So it created the script sections, right, which are in the database now. So it really is like building this full project without us prompting very much at all. I prompted this, which most of it is commodified, right? It's really just this here. Writing a set of simple functions, that's like kind of building the base tooling, which could also be commodified, but I don't think it makes all that much sense to completely YOLO it. Maybe it makes sense, right? Can always just retry. And then at the end, you have basically add a pretty page to view the full report. No need to add it to the main page. Just give me the URL. So /full report /ID. And now I don't remember what I was doing over here, and so maybe that's a good time to stop anyway. So I think I was just trying to load this in the REPL. We tried with Gemini. It's like started destroying the project. With O3, it might actually just be working pretty nicely. Then we have DB. We have DB configure. DB configure home manual JS server.db and unknown driver. Oh, I guess because for the driver. So what do we have to put in for the driver? It's configure. So that might be something to change a little bit. It's SQLite 3. SQLite 3. And then DB query tables. No, so it's select star from projects. And it shows us like the different projects that we created here. So it is the same database. And if we go back to Claude, hello Claude, where are you? Beautiful report created. So it basically created like a full page for us to look at the script sections and all of that, right? So the complete script is now literally coming from the research. It's stored in a database, and man, it's like super slop. It is so bad. It is so bad. So I'll need like a writing prompt on how to do like readable scripts for videos. I mean, maybe it's good actually. I don't know how to write video scripts, so maybe I'll learn something here. But yeah, this was like basically what I'm going for. You can see all the research that it did. You can see the task timeline, what it did in which order. It's all really pretty amazing. So yeah, really happy about this. We also made like a little bit of progress over here. So I think this was a short stream, but as far as my streams go, this was pretty successful. An hour and 20 minutes, and it really validates my idea that you can do full agents in with just a single MCP. I mean, technically S2 because that's web search here, but you don't even need like sub agents or whatever. You can really like fake it inside a single loop, which is nice because they do share a lot of context, right? That allows these sub agents to actually do some pretty good. I mean, maybe this like will need to be revisited, but because the other thing we can do is like maybe we can say, oh, create a tutorial on how to use the JavaScript functions you defined and the DB schema and which approach you did for this project. That way I can reuse that in the future. Maybe a good way to do this is like after when you press the lock application thing, you actually ask this project, okay, well, like what should we keep from all the source code you wrote? Can you please at least make us a list of what should be discarded, like what your process was, and then do a second pass that looks at the database with all the REPL codes calls that were done and then creates like a clean version of it that then can be snapshot, which is basically this here, right? Yeah, I think that might be the most useful part is like say at the end, look, use all the stuff you created and make a clean application. Then load that into a fresh context and fix it until it works. So actually, I'm going to try that still on stream. Oh my God, it's Sonnet. It's so annoying. All right, cool. So we're gonna reuse that, right? We're gonna say, look, come on. We're gonna say paste that in, and then I'm going to paste the other. All right. Well, I guess I don't know why it didn't attach it as a file, but and then when running JavaScript, don't forget that you are using the global context so that you can't redefine variables. If you need to define new variables, either use global, I don't know if global state actually works, or the database, or wrap your code in function. If you need to redefine. Okay. Execute, define all the functions in the attached documentation to be a video research agent. The database already exists. Create a new project to create a script for, and let's go use another YouTube video. We're gonna use something about, like, I don't know, Levy explosion. Oh my God, why? Explain. Yeah, that's cool. And then we're going to use that, transcribe it with AI Studio, and then use the transcript. Transcribe. Use that to create like a script, a research script, right? The problem is that because it reloaded oh no, the web UIs are still available. That's cool. It didn't restart the VM. Use the functions. No need to redefine. Explained in the attachment. Cool. Let's see what happens. Dude, I told you to not define this stuff. Maybe it's getting lost in the sauce here. So gonna repeat it. Guidelines. The database and functions are already defined in the, and UI already defined in the JavaScript VM. No need to do anything there. All right, cool. So we should have a new project here, right? Project Blevy with a set of new tasks for the Blevy. Create comprehensive content plan, right? Sorry for the flashing. Now let me check which tasks are executable and execute the first search task. It's kind of faking things here, right? Because it has seen that task before. But if we look at the tasks, it has 4 research tasks and it filled in like the first research. So it did fake searches, which you know, I'm going to actually tell it to stop that. Man, you can't stop it while it's outputting a function call. This is so fucking annoying. Like, I don't know how they're building their UI framework, but actually rewind, mark the research, and redo the research tasks with real searches. Yeah, this is really exciting. I love that. So it's resetting the search tasks to pending, right? Like if I go in here, the search tasks are back to pending. I don't know, actually. Yeah. Back to pending, have been cleared. Now it's doing the real searches. And so it's doing the real thing. Like this is the advantage here versus like maybe just a standard chat is that we actually have a real database, and it created the real database based on our prompt, and it created the web UI based on our prompt. So we get this like double combo of having like an actual framework to do more structured work, but also the flexibility of the chat. So we'll see. So yeah, it's doing like the actual research tasks, right? So the refreshing here is a little bit annoying, but it has filled it out with the real research. Research 1, research 2, research 3. It has the search results in here. It doesn't seem to have filled the search results for the research task. That's maybe something that's missing in the prompt. Probably was not mentioned in this like guideline document. So the way I can consider this for the future maybe is like as a developer, you spend a bunch of time either in AMP code, like in a real environment, or vibing here and like recycling what comes out, or like doing that to have like a solid foundation for a decent UI, not fully trusting the LLM to come up with it. But you can get pretty far, right? Like regenerating all of that. And then once you have it properly done, then you have a finished application. Like I think it's a really fast way of iterating versus it's mostly like maybe also just like a mindset kind of thing of being, you know, we're going to do REPL-based editing, except it's the agent doing the REPL editing stuff. So, man, I forgot to tell it to like, please not do a web UI. No, 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 no. Please stop. Please fucking stop, man. Oh, I hate Claude. It's like wasting so many tokens. And you can see like the tokens wasted on the CSS are actually more tokens than calling the code, which is really funny. No web pages unless I ask you. Query for the next tasks and execute the ones, the ones that are ready. Because now, if we go to the tasks, right, we will have a set that is pending because the dependencies have been updated. Actually, I don't even know if they've been. They probably were not created up front at the planning stage, so that's something that would also need to be like kind of taken into account. So I think iterating here would also mean iterating on this prompt that accompanies the source code, right? Which is what we're going to do. Okay, so now it's creating all the tasks, and then it's going to execute the first task because it's like Claude and it wants to always do more than I want it to do, than I ask it to do. It's so fucking annoying. That's why I want to move away from Claude Desktop, because it was okay with like 3.5, 3.7, and maybe I should like switch back to it, but even with 3.7, it was always like over eager. Now it's just doing all of it, like whatever. But the advantage is that we do have our framework here, right? It's that it's showing us the next tasks. I guess it has updated the code. It still doesn't show the tasks that are completed, but we should see the pending writing tasks here. And I wonder if it like marked it as completed though. Save that, success. Introduction section completed and stored. So we can see the script sections, right? Like the introduction has been written. And if I go to my localhost full report 5, I should start seeing the complete script. Currently only has the intro. And it has a second section, etc. So this was initial conditions and heat exposure. So we'll see the third section appear. Yeah, this is really, already this is kind of like really nice because it saves me just a bunch of copy pasting on all of that, right? Okay. Create a clear set of instructions that contain all the information you needed to do your work and also incorporates the findings, the things you had to adjust and correct so that the next agent run has all the corrected, necessary, and concise, clear information it needs to do its job. So this is like table, schema, functions to use, not their definition, how to proceed, what not to do, etc. Man, it does so much nonsense. Anyway, update this doc, remove. This is general education videos. No need to mention levies. each planning step should create as many dependent tasks as possible. For example, research tasks should have a synthesis task. A project should have at least one writing step. Say that tasks can be refined when deemed necessary, and introduce new tasks. And then let's see, what else can we remove? No need for the monitoring section. And yeah, that's actually pretty good. Never create a web page application. So we're going to try a third one, right? Like, what's the subject that we want to do? Like pelicans? The fuck? All right, we're going to take that. I like that. I like that a lot. This kind of workflow of creating an application and then asking the model as you do test runs of these applications to kind of update its own prompt based on what we figured out while we were iterating, right? It didn't remove the monitoring section. What is it doing? Why is it putting that at the front? Okay, cool. Let's start a new chat. And the next one we're going to put in is the planning workflow, transcript. We're going to take the Pelican transcripts. No. Use the given instructions and the given planning prompts as guidelines, no, to create an educational video out of about pelicans based on this interview transcript. Man, why the fuck does it? It says database schema already created. I fucking hate it. And then it's like, yeah, let me create a schema. And it's not stopping. Oh God, Claude. Do not create a DB, reuse as many JS function as necessary. You probably don't need to create new ones. Holy fuck. This is so irritating. Like, I spent so much time fighting Claude because it's always like, let me write new code, let me create new database table, let me write new web pages, let me add new CSS every time. Yeah, the database and functions are already available. I told you. I think also it's the fact that they have the like 30,000 token system prompt or whatever. It's like whatever you add to it, it's like, whatever. I really need like another MCP host. So now it's executing the real searches, right? And so the cool thing here is that we can, again, track this based on here. We can see the searches. We can look at the tasks that it has to execute. And as they get filled in, we can continue to look at them. So I guess I don't need this anymore. And here we see one search was finished. We have like the results of that search, and they're really in the database, right? Like they really are in here, and I don't think they are in the search result table, but they are certainly in the task results. Sorry. And if we look at the tasks of this dude, I don't think it has created the writing tasks again. Like that's a little bit annoying because I did specify it. But we will see. I think it is specified in there's right, like in the document as I skimmed it, and then this like gigantic Claude system prompt probably just like overwrites it. So yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but the concept is very, very promising. So it has created the writing tasks, right, for each section. And I think it should, somewhere in the prompt, it should say like create as many tasks as possible because you will be able to fill them out later on, right? Create all the tasks downstream that you can already think of as well. Basically, we want the full flow to be all the way to the finished report to be sketched out while allowing for iterative refinement when necessary in the future. I'm going to save that. And we're going to continue. So it looks like it's doing a fact checking task, right? Like all of this flexibility is pretty nice. And the fact that it's stored in the database probably allows me to reload that. And I'm going to try that actually. I'm going to stop this section. And oh man, this is Claude. It's like so ridiculous. It's like creating feedback and validation and worksheets. And how do they make it do so fucking much that is unasked for? It's just like insane. Okay, but we're going to stop you here, bro. No, please stop. Oh my God, please stop. Okay. So it has now, I think, created a lot of tasks that are not linked to the project. What is it? Yeah, because it has all these pending tasks, right? So the writing tasks are executable. Then man, how many has it created? This is wild. It has created like 30, 42. No, not that much, but holy crap. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start a new one, right? And then we're gonna paste this like these instructions. We have already created a project for Pelican videos ID 6 that is incomplete and want you to resume. Do not create new functions, DB tables, web apps. Only compute the next tasks available, execute them in parallel, and store their results. Then call the function to compute the next set and stop. So we're starting with a fresh context, right? Like this knows nothing about pelicans. This knows nothing about the work that has been done. And it's going to look at the dependencies here. Identifier tables has, I mean, this is like in the documentation to please wrap this stuff. All right. This is something where DSPy, or however you pronounce it, might come in handy, refining those prompts without having to do it manually. It's defining new functions. I can't believe it. So, but it has looked up the context, right? Like if we look at it, it actually all did just this, right? We have created a project for Pelican videos resume. Let me execute the 5 writing tasks in parallel. It has looked up the research for these 5 tasks based on the dependencies, right? Now it does the second writing task, and you can see them diminishing over here. So I think when this is getting finished to be called, it will disappear here automatically. Yeah. Man, this is really cool. Like once I have a good system prompt for this, then you can really do stuff like that, right? It resumes everything it needs to know to probably do a decent job, because this is simulating like the way a sub agent would work, right? However, it has like more context actually. Like there's no reason to really clear contexts to pretend to be different writers. It's like, oh, they're going to keep the same style. They're going to keep like a ton of stuff if you just do more in a single, either a single inference, right? Or yeah, no, I like this a lot. Because now it's doing the 5 writing tasks, and then hopefully it will stop after that. It's Claude, so there's a good chance that it will say like, nah, I'm gonna move on. I swear to God, it's going to do them. Yep. Man, I hate it. All right, so it stopped. That's good. All right, continue with the next available task. Then get the new set of tasks that will be worked on next, but don't execute them, but don't work on them yet. Stop after this next round. Is it going to ignore me? Who knows? And because it has so many tasks, right? I can play around with just like taking this again and pasting it, right? Yes, thank you. Cool. So this is pretty nice, the next two tasks, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy paste this first prompt here. And I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to paste it in. And hopefully we'll continue writing our Pelican video. It's not reusing the JavaScript functions. I love that. It's doing the variable scoping each time as well, even though it's like the last instruction in this. So it's saying like, oh, I need to do reasoning and search, right? Let me execute 48. Let me first verify the K12 alignment. First, let me get the current script content, right? So it's getting the current script content, which is fairly long because it needs to resume at this point. And then it's doing this, right? It's doing a web search. Very cool. So all of this with a single JavaScript virtual machine, or like a JavaScript sandbox, which has a database and a web handler. That's all. That's all that was needed to have this like kind of live updating, finish tasks kind of stuff going. It's going to execute them, I'm telling you. I'm going to stop it after that. I'm going to tell it like, but the prompting is probably ass anyway. And fighting with the Claude system, Claude desktop system prompt. So one thing to add is probably a way for writing stuff or whatever is to not even have it execute JavaScript, but like have it, because the problem with the JavaScript is that as it's writing a shit ton of text here, the danger is high that some kind of semicolon was broken. Yeah, exactly that. right? And then now it doesn't know how to continue. Maybe it knows, but I don't think it knows. It will restart from the beginning. And so you just end up wasting a bunch of stuff, even though the text has already been written, right? And so the issue here would be, maybe we can create a function that's called like append to writing task, those kinds of things to make it easier on the model. But also, yeah, I'm gonna stop here because this was all very cool. I think this kind of like really validates, and I really need to change MCP host because like all I'm doing is fighting Claude writing like fucking an immensity of stuff, even though I told it to keep it minimal. Like it's kind of impossible to use. But that's for the next time. I think this really like kind of showcased that this approach is working, because I already have like a bunch of writing done here as well for the Pelican, right? So even though it has a lot of verification tasks to be done and all of that, if I go to full report and I go to full report 6 about Pelican anatomy and I go to the complete script, I already have like something pretty significant here. So yeah, that is pretty nice. That was a good proof of concept for today. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching and see you next time.